Hello and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast, dedicated to take you, the wanderlust, on a journey through Greece.
There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
My Greek Island with your hosts George and Maria.
Kalimera! Hello everyone and welcome to the My Greek Island podcast with your hosts George Tsounyas
And Maria Petrakou.
So in today's episode, it's the 15th of August 2022. So we're talking about the 15th of August, which in Greece is Dekapentavgoustos. Now arguably, it's the biggest day in the Greek Orthodox calendar, other than Easter maybe, and it celebrated Greek communities all over the world. But for us, I'm talking on behalf of everyone, but it's synonymous for summer. Is that right?
It is, and you're super excited because the days are coming when we're actually going to head off. So we're going to share a lot of information behind this day, where you can soak up the ambience, and also a few of our own personal memories and experiences.
Exactly. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Καλημέρα Μαρία, τι κάνεις?
Καλημέρα George. Πολύ καλά. Εσύ?
Πολύ καλά.
Okay, so today, as we said, we'll be talking about the meaning and the significance of the 15th of August, or as the Greeks say, Dekapentavgoustos. So, George, do you want to give a bit of background?
Yep. So Dekapentavgoustos, 15th of August, which is the date today, is the pinnacle of Greek summer. Now, there's a few things I'm going to share because like a devout sort of podcaster that I'm becoming, I did my research and some of the stuff I didn't actually know, so I'm learning on the job, which is great. The first thing is that it's the Dormition. So Dekapentavgoustos on the Greek Orthodox calendar celebrates the feast of the Dormition of the Theotokos, which marks the falling asleep of the Virgin Mary. So that's the first fact. And it is a public holiday in Greece, and it's also a really, really important one. Many people that are quite religious in Greece, they're known to fast for 14 days before. So from the 1st to the 14th of August. This requires people not to eat meat or dairy products, fish, oil, and also wine, weirdly.
Really?
That's what my research said. I don't know.
I'm very
if it's
upset
true.
about the wine. The rest I can live without, but the wine...
I know. The third thing is, as we've mentioned in the podcast before, it's about name day. So the 15th of August is a name day for a very, 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 very long list of people, including Maria, Mary, Marula, Mario, Marigula, Panayotis, Panayota, so many people. So basically half of Greece has their name day on that day. And also, Maria, is your name day on that day?
So mine's not.
What? Why?
Although I must admit that if any of you text me and tell me happy name day, I won't correct you and tell you that it's not my name day. I just always say thank you very much. And the reason I don't is because Maria is one of the few names in the Greek Orthodox calendar that actually has more than one name day. So there's quite a few throughout the year. And I don't know why, but there is a tendency in Cyprus, which of course is my heritage, to select the name day which is closest to your birthday. Now, I'm not sure if this is just so that they reduce that the Cypriots are smarter than the rest of us and decided to reduce the number of gifts that someone can get. So if your name day is close to your birthday, you get one gift instead of two. In my case, being December, I got one gift instead of three if we incorporate Christmas. Yeah, my name day is in November, on the 21st of November, which I'm not sure, but I think in Greece, very few people celebrate that specific name day. So that's when my name day is, not on the 15th of August.
And if you are in Greece around that time and you know some of these people, or you have friends in Greece, or even family for some people listening, you probably spend half your day saying Chronia Bola, which means kind of happy celebration. It can also be used to say happy birthday, which is Chronia Bola, which might actually be the word for our day today. So the fourth thing that Dekapentavgoustos is famous for is the pilgrimage to the island of Tinos, which is a famous island for this. Are you going to touch upon that later?
I will definitely.
We will. So stay tuned for that one. And then the final one, as I said, for us is synonymous for summer vibes. And it's the time where most of the big cities, so Athens and Thessaloniki, usually deserted because people go to their holiday homes or they go to the seaside. And it's a time for family and friends to kind of get together as it's a public holiday. Now, that's used to be a thing where Athens, for example, would be dead around the 15th of August.
Yeah,
but things are slightly
dead.
changing.
Yeah, I think post the economic crisis that probably had something to do with it, plus the fact that the week adjacent to the 15th of August, before and after, is actually the most expensive period to go on holiday in Greece. So there's a tendency for people to just go on holiday at another point and actually remain in Athens during that time, unless they have a holiday home that they can go to. So I remember, oh my God, I remember when I was at university, it used to be a joke that because we used to go back to study during August, so sometimes I was in Athens during that period, and Athens is a city that it's just full of cars. Like there's nowhere to park. It's so difficult to find parking. And during that week, you'd be like, oh, where should I park? Here, over there, over there. There was just so many parking spots because no one was there and there was nothing to do. But that has changed, and it's definitely quieter than it is other months. Not as quiet as it used to be in the past, but definitely quieter.
Yeah. So those 5 things we talked about, if you're wondering, I can't remember all of them, just make sure, as always, check our Instagram page at My Greek Island, where there will be a dedicated post about everything we talk about and a link. Isn't that right, Maria?
Definitely.
So we know a little bit around the history thanks to my research skills. But let's talk about what people do. What do locals do?
So usually during this week, people visit the islands or the villages from which they actually come from. If they don't have their own holiday home to go to, then they're usually on the islands. But if not, and due to, as I said before, the fact that it's quite expensive, many do have the tendency now to stay in Athens. But during that period, what is extremely popular and what Greece is well known for are the festivals, which are called Panigyria in Greek. And they're usually very casual festivals. They can be in the middle of nowhere, in a village, in a square, in front of a church, and they happen everywhere. Of course, some places are more famous than others for their Panigyria, but they can happen anywhere, and they even happen very close to Athens as well.
Yeah, amazing. So maybe some people listening to this and they're in Greece, they might actually experience a Panigyri while they're there. Yeah. And those that don't have a second home, and if you are in Greece, chances are you have a friend or a family member that does, and you can just go with them. Where would be good from a My Greek Island perspective? Where would be good to soak up the ambience of the 15th of August?
Okay, so as you said before, like the pilgrimage to the island of Tinos. Tinos is probably the most famous island with the most popular celebrations during the 15th of August. And the reason is it's a double celebration for the island. So the first is the religious celebration of Virgin Mary, which I don't think we've mentioned, is called Panagia in Greek. And the second is where people pay their respects to a ship that sunk on the 15th of August 1940 close to Tinos. I think the ship was called Ellis. So during the day of the 15th of August, if you are in Tinos, there are honorary cannon shootings in the evening, but also the sacred icon of Panagia is carried by officers on one of the main streets on the island near the port called Evangelistrias Street. One thing I want to mention here is that I have quite mixed feelings about the pilgrimage. And if you go to Tinos, you will see it. The fact that where the boat leaves you, about 15-minute walk away is the church. It's a huge church. It's definitely worth visiting. People that will visit the island will, the moment they get off the boat, they will drop to their knees and they will crawl for 15 minutes to the church. And in a hope that Panagia will help them in their situation, etc. Now, when I saw this with my own eyes, I had very conflicting feelings about this because my thought was immediately that these people clearly, in order to be here, have suffered enough. And why are they suffering even more to crawl to the church? So I was very conflicted when I saw it. However, of course, it's their choice to do this. And, you know, some people have so much faith that they don't, for them, it's just an act of faith, which is absolutely fine. I'm very thankful, though, to the island of Tinos, what they have done in order to make this journey for the people crawling to the church easier. They have laid out a red carpet from the port to the church so that it's not as harsh for them to scrape their knees. So at least there's something nice that has been done.
There is something nice. And arguably all over Greece there'll be things going on. Like we mentioned the word panigiri, there'll be panigiria, which is the plural version, will be all over the country. Is there any other places or tips that you have that would be a good place to soak up the atmosphere?
So the second I'm going to mention is the most famous island for the panigiria, and it's called Ikaria. And I think we've mentioned it on another podcast. I'm not sure which one, maybe the last one, where we talked about the fact that they are known. There was a BBC documentary on Ikaria about the longevity of the people that live on the island. And it's very well known for its panigiria, with the most popular being the village of Lagada. And the vibe is just it's just absolutely incredible. The celebrations and the panigiria in Ikaria go on for hours. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. It starts in the evening and it goes on until next day, midday. So people watch the sunrise together, and they will continue dancing a dance called Ikariotiko, which is a local dance from Ikaria. And they all become like one big happy family on these panigiria. And another thing that I love about the panigiria in Ikaria is the fact that it's an extremely casual setting, to the point where food is actually served on baking paper, which in Greek is known as ladokolla.
Nice. I mean, I think the Ikaria is an island that springs to mind. As you said, the longevity of people living there is that the island where people don't die. Obviously they do, but they live for a long time.
They do. Then the third one that I'm going to mention is Paros. And I think Paros is probably the most touristic out of the three that I've mentioned. And in Paros, it's the 15th of August is celebrated in the port town of Parigya, and that's where the boat would leave you if you were to go to Paros with a boat, where there's a church there called, and this is a mouthful, it's called Panagia. I can't say it.
I mean, if you can't say it, there's no hope for people retaining it unless they go to the My Greek Island Instagram page. They got even hard for Greeks. We're going to leave that in. You better leave it in, because then it makes people feel better that if we can't pronounce it, Ekatondapiliani. Anyway, it's a really good church that you need to visit.
Anyway, so the Navy ships pay their respects there on the day. And in the evening, there's a festival with fireworks from boats on the bay. So it's another great island to be on. But I want to give a My Greek Island tip here.
My Greek Island tips. And My Greek Island tips are very common on your Instagram page.
They are. So a My Greek Island tip about Paros is, if you are on Paros, on the island of Paros on the 15th of August, consider extending your stay for another 9 days and be there for the 23rd of August. Why? Because on that day, there's another famous festival, which is called the Pirate Festival or Barbarossa.
Ooh.
And what actually happens is in the village of Nausa, there is, which is also the party village of the island.
Isn't that where you see them like swinging like the white cloths on tables?
That's
or
where
not?
they have the huge Easter celebrations in Baros. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I've seen them like standing on tables. I mean, most places you can
Yeah.
in Greece, but
And on the day of the 23rd of August, the locals do a representation of the victory that they had against the Turkish pirate Barbarossa in, I think it was in the 16th century. So there's people dressed like pirates running around the narrow streets of Nausa.
in the middle of
Yeah,
August.
in the middle of August. And I remember when I experienced it the first time, I was actually eating and a pirate literally came up to me with a fake knife clearly and just like came with a knife to my throat. And I was like, what the hell just happened here? And then I found out that it was the festival of Barbarossa and there's just pirates running around the entire village and it's so much fun.
Okay, maybe is it quite good for would it be good for kids?
It's good for everyone. It's so much fun for everyone.
Yeah, good for everyone. I mean, I feel like I want to do that. It sounds quite fun.
Yeah, it's definitely brilliant. And I think I'm going to give another one. I think I'm going to give one more tip. I'm going to mention one more island, which I think does something super unique on the 15th of August, and that's the island of Koufonisi. Now, Koufonisi, when you visit Koufonisi, you visit Ano Koufonisi, which means upper Koufonisi, and that's
And where is
so
this
it's
island?
just below Naxos. So it's still in the Cyclades, as we refer to in Greek. I don't know how to pronounce that in English.
I think they call them Cyclades.
I
in
don't.
English.
I actually don't know how
Yeah,
to pronounce
but
that in
yeah.
English.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Cyclades, I think.
So it's literally just below Naxos. So if you want to go on Google Maps, find Naxos, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in quite a lot, and you'll see it just below Naxos. Koufonisia is actually 3 islands, one of which is inhabited and 2 are uninhabited. One I think doesn't even have water, which is called Geros. On the day of the 15th of August, boats leave Ano Koufonisi to visit Kato Koufonisi, which means Lower Koufonisi, which is one of the uninhabited islands of the cluster, where there is a small church dedicated to Panagia. So everyone leaves on little boats in the morning from the upper island to go to the lower island to visit this little church. And then there's celebrations, there's a feast, and then you come back. So it's a very, very unique thing to do on the 15th of August. So if you're there, bear that in mind.
And that's definitely an off the beaten track recommendation. I mean, if you go there and you're not Greek or Greek speaking, it's going to be an experience, I'm sure.
Yeah. And just one more thing to mention is that, as we said before, Athens does tend to quiet down during the 15th of August. So if you want to experience Athens and avoid the crowds on the islands, it's not a bad choice to actually stay on the Athens Riviera during that week. It's actually really, really great.
Yeah, I actually really like Athens in August. But I mean, if you're going there first time and want to do the sights, August is not the best place to be going up the Acropolis in the midday sun, unless you get up really early or go later on. But yeah, Athens in August, I actually enjoy it. So the Riviera, Athens Riviera is so underestimated. It's so nice. So if you just Google Athens Riviera, and we're going to do a feature on it, it's epic. Like I love it.
It is. I think we need to do a single episode just about that.
The Riviera.
And all the things that you can do there, which is it's so much fun. And it's so much fun in the winter as well, but I think in the summer there's so much more to do, especially if you're like us and love the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Should we move on to memories of the 15th of August, George?
Okay. My memories. So some of you won't know on this podcast because we haven't done intros to our lives, and that will be coming. So stay tuned for that. I sound very English, but I was born and raised in Greece, and I used to go back every summer. So my memories of the 15th of August is always, as I said, it was the pinnacle of summer. It's when I used to live in the north of Greece on a holiday resort. It used to be the time when there used to be so many people. It used to be like the whole, getting ready for summer, going out, lots of people, family, friends joining. I just have really happy memories. The heat, friends, family, and parties as well. And fortunately, after the 15th of August, it does feel like an anticlimax. One, because it was nearly time to go back to the UK, but two, many people start going back to the city.
They do.
So, but my memories of always just waiting for the 15th of August, like it's a public holiday. There's usually concerts or things going around, going to a panigiri. How about you, Maria?
I'm just going to add before I say my memory, one of my funny memories I'm going to share, that, you know, the people do return to the cities after they start heading back to their destinations where they live. And there's a tendency for the Greeks to say galophthinoporo, which means enjoy the fall. And you're literally, every time they would tell me that, I'd always think, but it's still summer, like, because they're going back to work, their holidays are over, they've got kids are going to start school again, and they're preparing for the fall. So you might hear that phrase in Greece, which is galophthinoporo.
Yeah, you might also hear galohimona, because some people, you know, in these holiday resorts, they might be going back to the city and not coming back until the next summer or the next spring at least, but certainly not in the middle of winter going to their holiday home. So yeah, it is a bit of an anticlimax. You're like waiting for the 15th of August, maybe go to a concert or something, and then it's like, okay, party's over, back to reality.
Yeah. So going back to my memory on the 15th of August, I'm just going to share one that I think is I think it's a funny story. We were, a few years ago, we're on the island of Amorgos. I think there's a French film called La Grande Bleue about Amorgos. And one night there was a panigiri in the town, which is called Chora, and the municipality was giving out free drinks, which is a local production called psimeni, which is very similar to rakomelo, if anyone has tried, but the only difference is instead of making it with honey, they make it with sugar. So it's effectively raki with sugar, and it's got a dark brown color. Very nice, very sweet, can give a very awful hangover, but definitely a great drink to be sipping at panigiri in Amorgos. You know, we went there, we were eating, drinking, and then they started to dance. And at some point, I think me and my friends just ended up in the whole panigiri dancing with everyone. And a few minutes later, I don't know how or why, but I was the first one and I was leading the entire island on the dance.
Follow the leader.
I was leading everyone. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God. And my friends just could not stop laughing.
Oh, come on, you're embarrassed. You were probably loving it.
I was secretly loving it. But yeah, I was secretly loving it. But I was embarrassed as well.
Yeah, I don't have such stories. I think because most of mine was when I was in my adolescence. So yeah, wasn't allowed to be drinking that much. So, and just like that, the 15th of August is over. Summer vibes get wrapped up, or if you're Georgia Maria, you plan to go to Greece at the end of August, which is the best time. But before we end this episode, we haven't forgotten. We're going to do our Greek phrase or word for this episode, and we've mentioned both words quite a lot. So the first one is the word for festival, which is called panigiri.
Or if it's multiple ones, panigiria.
Panigiria, great. And then the second one, so we've talked about name days, and we said this phrase you could use to say happy name day, also happy birthday. We're going to give you two. So I'm going to say the first, which is chronia pola, which literally translates to many years. Yeah. So chronia pola. And the other one, Maria?
Or you can say nazisis, which also means to live.
To live. So nazisis. So, panigiri, chronia pola, and finally, nazisis.
Amazing.
Right, my Greek Islanders, this comes to the end of another episode of this podcast.
Now you know the drill. If you like this episode, share it to share the love with the My Greek Island community, where everyone is welcome. And
don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and maybe give us a little rating from wherever you're listening to us from, so you are notified every time a new episode drops. And if you have any suggestions or requests, get in touch.
And for those of you visiting Greece, don't forget to tag @MyGreekIsland on Instagram for a future feature. Until then, see you later, or as they say in Greek, ta leme.